Hello, this is a South Bend lathe that I put together, and when I did it, I wanted to put a single phase motor in it. So I purchased a Marathon 2 horsepower to replace the original 1.5 horse 3 phase that was in it. Now, I only had the motor in there for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and it quit on me. I had originally purchased a Marathon because I didn't want the cheaper ones. I paid an extra 60 bucks for the Marathon motor rather than getting the cheaper Chinese motors. And when it only lasted a week and a half, 2 weeks, I was pretty disappointed in it. But I'll show you what I did to fix it, and maybe it'll help out anyone out there who has bought a Marathon motor or any electric motor that fails shortly after you purchase it, or even a long time after you purchase it. It's often the starter contacts, and that's what the problem was on this one. Now, I'm going to show you the pictures that I took. Now, I didn't take a lot of pictures. They were just for my own purpose. I didn't plan on making a video, but I'll show you what I have. Now, this is a picture of the side of the Marathon motor. Let me flip it over here. There you go. So that you can look at it, you can see where the wiring is, etc. Now, this is made to be reversible. I wanted the lathe to be reversible, and I wired it through the switches so that it would be reversible. I got to go over to my other computer. Now, this is a picture I took of the contacts when I took the end of the motor off. I took a picture of the wiring, not for to make a video, but rather when I took the wires off, if I forgot where they go, I can take a look at the picture and I can see exactly where they go back on. But let me show you what the problem was. Get a pen here. Now, this right here is the start contact. This is the back side of it. The contacts are actually on the other side of this piece of metal here. This ring right here, when the motor speeds up, this ring pulls back away from this bearing. And when that ring pulls back, these contacts break. When the ring comes forward, when the motor is sitting not running, the contacts are touching. That's so that the first set of windings will get the motor started, and then the second set of windings will take off after the motor is started, and these contacts will break and release the first set of windings. Now, what happens if these contacts don't release is electricity is flowing through both sets of windings, and the motor will run, but it labors extremely hard. It pulls a lot of current, and it'll burn out in a very short time. So, of course, when you turn your switch on, you hear the motor laboring, you immediately shut your switch off, and it prevents damage to your motor. But then you've got to figure out what to do with the motor. Do you want to send it back for warranty, or do you want to just fix it yourself? Well, I chose to fix it myself. I pulled this off. These fingers that stick out here, you can't see it. And like I said, I didn't take the picture for the video. I took it for the wiring. But if you could see the bottom of these fingers on each side, they stick down a little ways. They push on this ring, or the ring pushes on them rather. And those fingers, when they're manufacturing them, those fingers are too long. Even when that ring pulls away, it doesn't allow these contacts to drop away. The contacts are still making. So it's still running on both sets of windings. All I had to do is take this apart. I had to take some bolts out of here. On the back side here, there was 3 screws. On the back side of this red piece here, this red insulator, there's a screw hole you can see there. There was another screw hole. Gee, I don't even see them now. They're over here, in here somewhere. Anyway, I had to get to the back side of them to take the screws out so that I could take this out. It's a little bit tricky to get in there and get the screws out, but you can do it. Of course, the cover of the motor is missing, of course, because I took it off, and it just has 4 bolts that go all the way through the motor. And this is the back of the motor, of course. And you don't even have to take the pulley or anything off of the front. It can all stay put. You can leave your belts on there and everything if you want. And Just take the back cover off, just those 4 bolts, and then you have access to this. Then these three screws, and you have access to this. Then you can pull this away, take a little file, and file off these 2 little fingers a little bit, so that when this ring pulls back, the contacts release. Now, they also have, and I couldn't take a picture of it, but they also have a tiny little piece of the contact that's slit loose and bent a little bit to help push these contacts open. Now, I also bent that finger so it pushes harder on these contacts. So when you file these fingers down a little bit, make sure you take a look at that, and you'll have to look back in here. It's back in under this piece of metal. But take a look back in there with a flashlight, and you can see a little piece of copper from that's slit loose of the fingers, and bend it a little tighter so that it pushes harder on these contacts. And it'll make the contacts release more quickly also. When I first took it apart and I was running these fingers all the way, I took it apart like it's sitting now, and I just pushed the fingers all the way against this red portion, which then that's as far as it can travel. Whether or not it travels that far when it's all put together, you don't know. But it's as far as it can travel, period. When you have it apart, my contacts were only getting maybe a 64th of an inch of travel, and that's all it was breaking it. I mean, it just wasn't enough. And if this ring didn't go all the way down so that this thing could come all the way against this red plastic, then it refused to go. I mean, that last 64th of an inch is all it released this thing. So when I got done with it, when this was about 1/8 of an inch from hitting this red, it released. So I had 1/8 of an inch of travel with the contacts released when I was finished. And to start with, it had only about a 64th of an inch of travel. And it just wasn't enough. Before having this failure, it did occasionally, when I turned it on, make noise and complained. I could tell it was running in both windings. And I would immediately shut it off, turn it back on again, and maybe the second time it would work. So I got by with doing that a few times before it finally stopped working altogether. Anyway, I hope this helps. If you have this trouble, this is only about a 15-20 minute fix. It's a lot easier than packaging up the motor and sending it back to whoever you bought it from. I don't remember if I bought it from Surplus Center or Harbor Freight or where it was, but it's a Marathon motor that I got somewhere. And this problem, this is a 2-horse motor, but this problem, I've had this problem on a lot of different motors. And sometimes the motors are 10, 15 years old, and the contacts are just wore out, and you can fix your motor by replacing these contacts. But this particular motor was only a week or so, 2 weeks old, and it had this problem immediately. So it's a bad design. It's going to be a problem in a lot of motors. A lot of people are going to have this problem. So I hope this video helps those people out who have this problem and can fix it quickly and easily rather than having to send it back for warranty. So thank you for watching, and subscribe to my channel if these things help you at all, and give me your comments also. Thank you.